Welcome again. Hello, my name is Tomáš Novotný. I'm the co-owner and co-founder of Regartis, and you can see a lot of actually new names in the audience. So let's take a look at downstream user import notifications today. Here with me is Andrea Schovanková, our expert on registrations, including UK registrations and downstream user import notifications. Hi, Andrea, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, thank you, Tomáš.
Great. So let's get started. So we have an hour to walk you through the downstream user import notification process, which is approaching its deadline. And so if you still haven't filed your downstream user import notifications, I hope that you will get all you need to get yourself going before the deadline. If not, of course, please feel free to ask. So Andrea will guide you through the downstream user import notifications, and I will be helping her with the questions and answers at the end. If you need any further help, do not hesitate to contact our team concerning UK Reach or EU Reach services. You can also watch some of our previous webinars, and as you can see, we already covered the downstream user import notifications, but that was sometime in April, maybe May, if I'm not mistaken. And some time passed since then. Some processes got clarified. Now it's perfectly clear what needs to be done in different situations. So we thought it might be a good time to walk you through again. So we will start with the basics, and then Andrea will show you more details how downstream user import notifications can be filed, and in what scenarios you can file them and what you need to do. Andrea will guide you through, so I will not take any further time of hers. Andrea, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tomáš. Good afternoon to you all. So, as Tomáš already said, we will talk about last-minute downstream user import notifications step by step. We will guide you through it. We will do a tutorial how to do it and why and what to do after it. So, before we start, here's the agenda, what you can expect today to learn, to know. We will start with where we are now. Then we will take time for the downstream user import notification and also the basics as we already covered in our previous webinars, but we can repeat it again. So who can submit this notification, when is the deadline, and what does the deadline mean, and which information needs to be submitted. Then we will take a look at how does the notification look like in practice, and how do we get the downstream user import notification number, and how does the notification look like after it, and then some take-home messages. So we can start. Where we are now. We were covering the topic of grandfathering of European REACH registrations, which ended by the end of April this year, so this is not relevant anymore. Now, what is now most relevant is the downstream user import notification, which has the deadline set on 27th of October. So it's in 2 weeks. So this is the last time we have the opportunity to submit those notifications, and after this there will be only the full registration option for the importers, manufacturers, and other companies, legal entities. So just to set the basic information, who can submit the downstream user notification. It is meant for Great Britain-based legal entities that import the substances and mixtures from European Union to Great Britain, and they intend to continue right now after the transition period, and also for the companies, the legal entities that import substances from outside of European Union to Great Britain, and also for the companies that are not set in Great Britain and they use the only representative in Great Britain. It's also important to say that it's not possible for companies only planning to import chemicals into Great Britain for the first time to submit this downstream user import notification. This is intended only for companies that have already imported the substances before the end of 2020. So this is only for these companies to enable them to give them time before the registration, so that they wouldn't have to do it right away after the end of transition period. So when is the deadline? As I have already said, it's within 300 days of the end of the transition period, and this sets the date to 27th of October 2021. And what should you do to submit the downstream user import notification? You will need to do a few steps, and the first one is to open an account on the UK Reach IT system. It's comply with UK Reach. I will later show you how to do it, because it's not that intuitive as we were used to in Reach IT for ICA. Then you will submit the notification. You will just I will show you that as well. You will get the downstream user import notification number by claiming you are the downstream user or distributor, and you will then fill the additional information spreadsheet for the substances that you are importing and you intend to continue importing to Great Britain. You will then send the spreadsheet to this email address, and after that you will only receive an email confirmation from HSE saying that that they have saved this table and you are compliant, you have done the downstream user import notification, and that's all. You won't get any document or anything else. It's also important to say that even if it's similar to pre-registration, downstream user import notification is not a pre-registration, and it simply works to make the deadline for registration longer for legal entities that have already imported the substances. It's also not obligatory. When you submit the notification, you don't have to make the registration. If you change your mind and you don't want to import the substance after the few years that you had before the registration, you just cease the import and you don't have to register the substance. So what does the deadline mean? The new notifications cannot be submitted after the 27th of October. So since 28th of October, you are not able to submit new notifications. After the submission, the legal entity is compliant with the UK Reach until the registration deadline. So what do you need to do after the submission? You just need to keep track on your yielded tonnages, because you need to provide your tonnages in the spreadsheet that you send to HSE, and if that changes, you should act according to it, because if you hire your tonnage band, you should inform the agency. Maybe you could update your table and send it to them with the message that you changed your tonnage. And what is important to you, the deadlines for registration are dependent on the tonnages. So when you hire your tonnage, you have the deadline sooner than you had when you had a lower tonnage band. I will show you just in a minute how the deadlines are set according to tonnages. So no other action is required until the registration. You are compliant just with the downstream user import notification number and with the confirmation, the spreadsheet, and those things. Then within 2, 4, or 6 years, plus the 300 days of the end of the transition period, so on the 27th of October of 2023, 2025, or 2027, you have to submit a new registration under UK Reach with the full information requirements for the tonnage band as you have set or as you are at the point. And the first step to do it is an inquiry according to Article 26. And this whole process of the registration is really similar, almost the same as it was with European registrations with EU REACH. So here are the deadlines for registration after your downstream user import notification. And these are set for 2, 4, or 6 years after the 27th of October. And it's dependent on the tonnage you have for the substance and on the hazardous properties of the substance. So basically, when you have the highest tonnage band or your substance is hazardous, is carcinogenic, mutagenic, or toxic for reproduction within the lowest tonnage band, or it is very toxic to aquatic organisms, acute or chronic, with the 100 plus tons per year, or if it's on a candidate list of substances as it was by the end of 2020, you have only 2 years to do the full registration to fulfill the requirements according to your tonnage band. If your substance is imported in a tonnage band of 100 to 1000 tons per year, or if it's on a candidate list of substances as it will be in the 2023, you will have until year 2025. And if you have lower tonnage than 100 tons per year, you have 6 years before your registration. So when you have just the lowest tonnage band, you can register in the 2027. So now we can move on to the required information for downstream user import notification. It's been hard to tell what is really mandatory and what doesn't have to be in the spreadsheet. So I tried to do it as simple as I could. The mandatory information are always the downstream user import notification number, then your legal entity name, and then the basic substance identifiers like name and if it's available, your CAS and EC numbers. This is the must in the table. And the other information are mandatory when they're available to you. So you should always fill there the information that you have for the substance. So these are the rest of the columns on the spreadsheet. So that's the EU REACH registration number, the classification of the substance, the molecular weight, structure, composition, purity, and other properties, analytical data, and SDS. It's also possible to just attach the SDS to your spreadsheet when you're sending it to the agency, and it can be an easier way for you to provide them the data. And what I didn't involve here is the tonnage. And if you know the tonnage, it should always be there because it's important to you because the registration is dependent on the tonnage band. So from my experience, you should have always the basic information, and if the substance was registered in the European Union, you can always find a lot of information on ICA website. You can a lot of substances have the brief profiles and so on, other information, and you can find at least the first digits of the registration numbers. You don't have to provide the last 4 of them if you don't have it available from your supplier. And you can find out some data about the substances. But you don't have to provide any information that is not available to you. Now, this is the frequent question, how to get the downstream user import notification number. This is the only thing that you will get from the system, from the UK REACH IT system when you need to submit the downstream user import notification. The system can be used for the transfer of European registration to UK REACH, also to submit new registrations for substance and for the notification and to transfer your assets. I will now show you how to get to the system because I know that someone maybe didn't see it before, so I can show you because it's not that intuitive as I would expect. So I'm sharing my screen right now with the HSE website, and you will get there by clicking on guidance here, then scrolling down, and you would go to topics and more topics. Like that, you would get to this, and you can find reach. And when you find this, you can scroll down, and there is comply with UK Reach on gov.uk. You click on this link, it will get you here. And when you scroll down, you will find this green button and click on Start Now. I'm already logged in, so I won't show you how, but there it will get you just to the login site where you would just click on set new account, or you would just use your credentials that you already have. So this is the home page of the system, and to get the downstream user import notification number, you would click on this link. There is transfer from the EU, and there is submit a downstream user import notification. You would just click on this link, and it would just ask you how many substances you want to notify, and it's not mandatory to say how many substances. It's just 2 clicks and you will get the downstream user notification number. To show you how to fill the spreadsheet, it's available on the HSE website. You can just download it, and you will fill it in. It's an Excel table, so you will just fill in the information that you have available. Don't forget about the downstream user import notification number, your legal entity name, and then everything you have available about your substance. There are many columns. You don't have to fill them all. You can see that there is also distinguished which information is mandatory and which is only if it's available. They did it in the color, and you can also do it like there is the first line, like an example. One more thing, maybe it could be confusing that you have only one downstream user import notification number for all of your substances. It is just one number for the legal entity that is submitting this notification, and you have one spreadsheet for all of your substances that you intend to notify. This spreadsheet, then you will just fill what you know, what you have available, and you will send it to the email that I showed you in previous slides. And after that, you will just receive an email confirmation looking just like this. They usually send the same sentences, so they will just thank you for the notification and tell you that they received it, and that there is no one that would check the information that you provided, and you are responsible for what you have submitted. So you should submit the correct data, but nobody will check it in the spreadsheet after your submission. So that was all, I guess. So some take-home messages is just be patient. There are people on the other side, as you saw in the email. They will reply you, and if you have some problem or if you make a mistake in the submission, there is no problem in writing them back that you made the mistake and that you want to correct the information. And from my experience, it's quite quick. You just send the email, and within the day you have the answer, and they correct it for you, and there is no problem in that. And also, the last message is that we can help you with all notification now is the time to do it. So please let us know if we can help you with something. So this is all from me now. I can give the word back to Tomáš.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It was really, really useful. I think it was great to have this overview. It was all covered. And when you said that once the downstream user import notification is submitted, that nobody will check it, I would just like to add, nobody checks it until they do. So nobody checks it systematically and automatically. There's no system checking the import notifications. There's no publicly available information about the level if and when the UK HSE will be checking the downstream user import notifications. But of course, the enforcement authorities can do that, and they can do that even retrospectively. So even in upcoming years, if they have any doubt that the imports were done on a valid import notification, they can come and check that. So I just wanted to clarify that because it was one of the questions I was answering over chat also. Thank you, Hannah, for the question. After this webinar, we still have quite a lot to cover from UK Reach. So in 2 weeks, we will be focusing on data sharing and letter of access negotiations. After the downstream user import notification deadline, we will start with appointing the lead registrant, how that is done, and how you should or can be involved in that process. And following that, what to do after a successful downstream user import notification? What are the next steps to remain compliant and stay on the UK market? So feel free to join our YouTube channel also, where you have also the previous webinars that we did. In November, we will be organizing our annual conference. This time it will be only online again as last year, but hopefully next year it will be a physical event again. So on 16 November, we will be inviting great speakers from all over the Europe to cover the most important topics, including UK Reach and Brexit, but also focusing on Green Deal strategy for sustainability, registration of polymers, for example, and a few other highly discussed topics in the EU. As Andrea mentioned, our Don't Panic button is always working. So far, it hasn't been broken anytime. If you need any help with UK Reach or EU Reach, we are here. And that will bring us to your questions. First of all, if there's anybody who would like to speak out loud and ask a question live, please feel free to raise your hand, and we will let you ask directly. That way you can be sure that your question gets answered. For the others, we will try to take it one by one. There are quite a few. Thank you very much, and thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you, Tomáš.
Goodbye, enjoy the day.
Have a nice day. Bye.